Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me very carefully. There comes a time in a woman's life when everything she thought was stable starts shaking. The people she trusted start leaving. The places that once felt comfortable start feeling foreign. And suddenly, she's left standing in the middle of uncertainty, wondering, why is this happening? But I need you to understand something. This is not the end. Oh, no. This is the moment right before elevation. Because when God is about to bless a woman with something big, He doesn't do it quietly. He makes a shift so loud that she has no choice but to pay attention. If you've been feeling confused, if you've been feeling like you're losing more than you're gaining, if you've been feeling a fire in your spirit, but you don't know where it's leading, then sister, you better sit up and listen. Because God is moving in your life. And when He moves, He moves in a way that changes everything. Now let's talk about the 7 signs that let a woman know her blessing is closer than she thinks. Before God blesses a woman with something big, He first strengthens her. And He doesn't do that through comfort. He does it through challenge, through trials, through fire. You don't just wake up one day with unshakable faith. No, that kind of faith is forged. It's built in the moments when everything around you is falling apart and you have no choice but to trust Him. It's built when the bills are piling up and you don't know where the money is going to come from, but you still believe. It's built when people you love turn their backs on you and you have no one to lean on but God. It's built when the enemy whispers in your ear, you're not going to make it, but you stand firm and declare, I will. Every strong woman you admire today didn't become strong because life was easy for her. No, she became strong because life tested her, because she walked through the fire and didn't let it consume her. Because when the weight of the world pressed down on her, she didn't crumble, she stood taller. But here's what you need to understand. The storm is not a sign that God has forgotten you. The storm is proof that He is preparing you. Because what He is about to give you is too great for the woman you used to be. He has to mold you into the woman who can carry that blessing. He has to strengthen you so that when the doors open, you don't just walk through them, you walk through them with power. So if you're in that season right now, if everything seems to be going wrong, if you feel like you're being stretched beyond your limit, hear me when I say this. You are closer than you think. God is stripping away everything that's not meant to go with you into this next season. He's removing distractions. He's cutting off relationships that would hold you back. He's allowing you to feel discomfort because He knows that if you get too comfortable where you are, you'll never step into where He's calling you to be. Do you remember Joseph? God gave him a dream of greatness, but before he reached the palace, he had to go through the pit. His own brothers betrayed him. He was sold into slavery. He was falsely accused and thrown into prison. But every single one of those trials was necessary, because the man who walked into Pharaoh's court wasn't the same boy who once wore the coat of many colors. No, Joseph had been transformed. He had been strengthened. And when his moment came, he wasn't just ready, he was prepared. And that's exactly what's happening in your life right now. The struggle isn't meant to break you, it's meant to build you. That betrayal, it's revealing who's really for you. That delay, it's teaching you patience. That loss, it's making room for something greater. That opposition, it's sharpening your faith. And let me tell you something, the enemy only attacks what he fears. If you weren't carrying something powerful, he wouldn't be fighting you this hard. If you weren't close to your breakthrough, he wouldn't be trying to make you quit. That's why this is the moment you must stand firm. This is the moment you must push through, because the blessing that's coming is bigger than you imagined. And when it arrives, you'll look back at this storm and realize it wasn't there to destroy you. It was there to prepare you. So don't you dare give up. Don't you dare lose faith. Don't let the enemy convince you that this is where your story ends. Because God is about to do something so big in your life that the very people who doubted you will have no choice but to say that had to be God. And when that moment comes, you'll understand the storm wasn't a setback. It was the setup. Your blessing is right on the other side. When God is about to bless a woman with something big, He doesn't just give her the blessing, He prepares her for it. And part of that preparation is separation. He removes people, places, and things that are no longer aligned with where she's going. And that's where it gets hard. Because as human beings, we crave familiarity. We hold on to relationships because they feel comfortable, not because they're good for us. We stay in places that no longer serve us because the idea of change is terrifying. We cling to old habits, old mindsets, and old versions of ourselves because stepping into the unknown feels too risky. But when God is preparing to elevate a woman, He doesn't allow her to stay where she's been. He begins to separate her. The people who used to be close to her start acting differently. Conversations that once felt fulfilling now feel empty. Friends who used to support her now seem distant or even jealous. Relationships that she thought would last a lifetime begin to fall apart, and she finds herself asking, why is this happening? But what if I told you that the separation isn't a loss? It's a setup. What if I told you that God is not taking people from you, but rather He's making room for the right ones? What if I told you that the discomfort you feel is because God is stretching you, preparing you, and positioning you for something greater? There are some people who were good for your last season, but cannot go with you into your next one. They were fine when you were on one level, but the moment God starts to elevate you, their true colors begin to show. Some people only like you when you were struggling. Some people only supported you when you needed them, but the moment God starts blessing you, the moment you start growing, the moment you step into your calling, they can't handle it. And that's when you have a choice. You can try to hold on to people God is trying to remove, or you can trust that He knows what He's doing. You can fight to keep friendships that no longer fit, or you can accept that some connections were only meant for a season. You can cry over the doors that are closing, or you can start preparing for the ones God is about to open. Look at Abraham. God told him to leave his country, his people, and his father's household and go to a land that He would show him. God didn't even tell him exactly where he was going. He just said, go. And Abraham had to trust Him. Imagine if Abraham had refused. Imagine if he had said, no, I'm too comfortable here. I know these people. I know this land. I don't want to leave. He would have missed out on everything God had for him. And that's exactly what happens when we refuse to let go. We hold on to things that are familiar, but they're also limiting us. We cling to people who are comfortable, but they're also keeping us small. We resist change because it's scary, but on the other side of that change is everything we've been praying for. The truth is, if some people hadn't left your life, you never would have grown. If some doors hadn't closed, you never would have walked into the right ones. If God hadn't removed certain things, you never would have made space for what He's about to give you. So when you feel that shift happening, when you notice people pulling away, when old friendships start breaking down, when certain opportunities don't feel right anymore, don't fight it. Trust it. Trust that God is making space. Trust that He is removing distractions. Trust that He is not taking something from you. He is positioning you for something greater. Because when God is about to bless a woman, He doesn't just add to her life. He subtracts first. He clears out the unnecessary. He makes space for the extraordinary. And if you can endure the loneliness of the separation, you will walk into the fullness of the elevation. Don't chase what God is trying to remove. Don't grieve what He's trying to replace. Your next blessing is bigger than your last attachment. Let go, trust the process, and get ready for what's coming. Because when God separates you, it's never for less. It's always for more. There comes a moment in a woman's life when she feels something shifting within her. She can't quite explain it, but deep in her spirit she knows something is coming. It's not a thought, not a passing feeling, but a deep, undeniable stirring in her soul. She wakes up feeling different. The things that used to satisfy her no longer do. The conversations she used to enjoy feel empty. The places she used to feel comfortable in suddenly feel foreign. It's as if the very atmosphere around her is changing, and she's standing in the middle of it, trying to understand what's happening. This is not a coincidence. This is not just a mood. This is God whispering to her spirit, get ready. God always moves in the spirit before he moves in the natural. Before a woman sees the breakthrough with her eyes, she will feel it in her soul. It will come as a restlessness, an unexplainable knowing that she is on the edge of something greater. She won't be able to put it into words, but she will feel an urgency, a push, a divine nudge telling her, prepare yourself. In this moment, doubt tries to creep in. She questions herself. Is this real? Am I imagining things? Because from the outside, nothing looks different. The struggles are still there. The obstacles still stand. The dream still seems far away. But deep inside, she knows. She knows that something has shifted. She knows that the life she has been living is not all there is. She knows that she is being called to more. This is how God speaks. He plants a seed of expectation in her heart before the blessing arrives. He doesn't always give details, but he gives a feeling, a divine stirring that refuses to be ignored. And in this moment, she has a choice. She can either embrace it, lean into it, and prepare for what's coming, or she can ignore it, doubt it, and talk herself out of what God is trying to do. This is why faith is so important. Because when God is moving, he doesn't always give proof. He doesn't always give immediate results. Sometimes all he gives is that feeling, that internal shift, that whisper in her heart that says, stay ready. And if she's not careful, she'll dismiss it. She'll convince herself that nothing is changing. She'll let fear convince her to settle where she is instead of stepping into where she's being called. But the women who experience the biggest blessings, the greatest breakthroughs, the most unexpected favor, they are the ones who listen to that stirring. They are the ones who recognize when God is speaking, even when nothing around them makes sense. They don't wait for the evidence before they prepare. They start moving in faith, trusting that if God is stirring their spirit, it means he's about to move. Think of Noah. God told him to build an ark when there was no sign of rain. The sky was clear, the sun was shining, there was no storm in sight. But in his spirit, Noah knew what God had spoken. And because he trusted that feeling, because he acted on what God was doing inside of him, he was prepared when the storm came. And that is exactly what God is calling you to do. You may not see the blessing yet, but you feel it. You may not have the full picture, but something inside you is shifting. You may not know when it's coming, but you know it's coming. That's not your imagination. That's divine preparation. That's God getting you ready. So what should you do when you feel this stirring? You start preparing. You start praying with more intensity. You start moving as if the blessing is already on its way. You let go of distractions. You surround yourself with people who will support where you're going, not just where you've been. You stop wasting time on things that no longer serve your future. Because the worst thing that can happen is for the blessing to come and for you to be unprepared. God doesn't send increase to people who aren't ready to handle it. He doesn't open doors for people who are still clinging to the past. He blesses those who expect it, who prepare for it, who position themselves for what's next. So if your spirit is stirring, if something inside you is telling you that greater is coming, don't ignore it, don't dismiss it, Don't wait for everything to make sense before you start moving. Trust what God is doing in you. Trust that He wouldn't stir your spirit if He wasn't about to shift your life. Because when a woman feels that undeniable knowing, that unshakable expectation, that divine restlessness, she is on the edge of something big, and all she has to do is get ready. When God is preparing to bless a woman with something big, He doesn't just give her a dream. He starts opening doors that she never expected. Suddenly, opportunities begin to appear in ways she never could have orchestrated on her own. It's not luck. It's not coincidence. It's divine alignment. At first, these opportunities may seem too good to be true. She may even hesitate, wondering if she's really ready, because for so long she's been praying, waiting, hoping. She's been working hard, trusting God even when nothing seemed to change. And now, out of nowhere, doors are opening that she never even knocked on. People are reaching out. Resources are showing up. Favor is following her. But here's the key. When God opens a door, He expects her to walk through it. He didn't bring these opportunities just to tease her. He brought them because she is ready. Even if she doesn't feel ready, even if she doesn't think she has all the skills, the knowledge, the experience, God wouldn't open the door if she wasn't equipped to step into it. The problem is too many women talk themselves out of their own blessings. They pray for an opportunity, but when it comes, they hesitate. They question if they're qualified. They wonder if they're capable. They let fear convince them that maybe it's not the right time. Maybe they should wait. Maybe someone else would be better suited. But when God brings an opportunity, it's because He already qualified her. It's because He sees in her what she may not yet see in herself. Think about Esther. She was an orphan girl with no royal background, yet God positioned her to be queen. The opportunity was given to her, but she still had to walk through the door. She had to have the courage to step into her calling, to take her place, to trust that God put her there for a reason. And because she did, an entire nation was saved. This is how God moves. He doesn't just give a woman a vision. He gives her a way to step into that vision. He puts the right people in her path. He aligns circumstances in her favor. He shifts things around so that when the time comes, everything she needs is right in front of her. But it's up to her to recognize the opportunity and take it. The opportunity doesn't look the way she expected. Sometimes it comes disguised as extra work, as a challenge, as something that seems insignificant at first. But God doesn't always announce His blessings with flashing lights. He often presents them in ways that require faith to recognize. Maybe it's a job that doesn't seem like a perfect fit, but it's actually a stepping stone to something greater. Maybe it's an invitation to speak, write, or lead in a way that she's never done before. And even though she feels unqualified, God is stretching her into the woman He designed her to be. Maybe it's a connection with someone who sees something in her that she doesn't yet see in herself. The key is to be open, to not dismiss what doesn't seem to fit her plan, to not ignore the small doors thinking they aren't significant enough, because sometimes what looks like a small opportunity is actually the gateway to something beyond her imagination. And here's the other thing. Opportunities come with responsibility. When God opens a door, He expects her to walk through it with excellence. He expects her to show up fully, to give her best, to steward the opportunity well, because blessings that are mismanaged don't last. A woman who recognizes that her opportunity is God-given won't take it lightly. She won't shrink back in fear. She won't waste time doubting. She will step forward boldly, knowing that if God brought her to it, He will bring her through it. But the enemy knows this too. That's why the moment a woman stands on the edge of her breakthrough, fear starts whispering, "You're not ready. You're not good enough. What if you fail? What if people judge you?" The enemy tries to make her second guess herself, because he knows that if she walks through that door, if she steps into what God has for her, she will be unstuck. And this is where faith comes in. She has to believe that what is for her cannot be taken from her. She has to trust that if God made a way, then the way is safe. She has to step out, even if she feels scared, because courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward in spite of it. So when opportunities start appearing, when doors start opening without explanation, when favor starts following her, it's not by accident, it's not random, it's God making a way. It's Him saying, now is your time. And the only thing she has to do is walk through the door. When God is about to bless a woman with something big, she will notice that things in her life start to accelerate. What once seemed slow, stagnant, or delayed will suddenly begin to move at a speed she never expected. Doors that were once closed will fly open. Opportunities that seemed far away will come knocking. Situations that once felt stuck will shift in an instant. This acceleration is not random, it is divine. It is God bringing together everything He has been working on behind the scenes, and while it may feel sudden, it is actually the result of everything she has endured, everything she has prayed for, and everything she has been prepared for. But here's what she must understand. Acceleration comes with responsibility. When God starts moving things quickly, she has to be ready. She has to be willing to let go of old routines, old patterns, and even old expectations, because what's coming will not fit into the life she used to live. It will require her to level up. It will require her to move in faith, not fear. This acceleration may feel overwhelming. She may feel like things are happening too fast, like she barely has time to catch her breath. But that's because she's been waiting so long that she's become used to the delay. She's spent years praying for something that seems so far away, and now that it's here, she doesn't know how to adjust to the speed. This is where trust comes in. She must trust that if God is accelerating things, it's because He knows she's ready. She may not feel ready, but God doesn't operate based on feelings. He operates based on His plan. He wouldn't speed things up if she wasn't prepared. He wouldn't open doors if she wasn't capable of walking through them. He wouldn't bring the blessing if she wasn't strong enough to carry it. Think about David. He was a shepherd, living a quiet life, tending his sheep. But when the time came for him to step into his calling, things moved fast. One day he was in the fields, the next he was standing before a giant. One moment he was an unknown young man, the next he was being talked about throughout the nation. When acceleration comes, it doesn't always come with a warning. It happens suddenly, shifting life in ways that only God can orchestrate. But with acceleration comes change, and change can be uncomfortable. A woman who has been waiting for years may feel safe in the waiting. She has learned how to function in delay, how to survive in struggle. But now, God is saying, no more waiting, no more struggling. It's time. And that's when things start happening quickly. The job offer comes unexpectedly. The financial breakthrough arrives overnight. The relationship she thought would take years to heal is restored in an instant. The business that seemed to be growing slowly suddenly takes off, and she has to be ready to move with it. Acceleration requires action. When God speeds things up, she can't afford to hesitate. She can't sit around analyzing every detail, waiting for things to make perfect sense. She has to move. She has to step into the opportunity. She has to embrace the blessing without doubting whether she deserves it. This is where many women miss their moment. They pray for acceleration, but when it comes, they hesitate. They second guess. They hold on to the old because it feels safer. But acceleration does not wait for comfort. Acceleration demands boldness. When God says go, she has to go. That means if the relationship she prayed for suddenly comes into her life, she has to be emotionally available for it. If the career breakthrough she's been asking for finally shows up, she has to be prepared to walk into it with confidence. If the doors she's been knocking on for years suddenly open, she has to stop doubting and step inside. And here's another thing about acceleration. It comes with pressure. The faster things move, the more responsibility she will have. The enemy will try to make her feel overwhelmed, like she's not capable of handling the speed. But what she must understand is that God never accelerates someone without giving them the grace to handle it. Think about Joseph. He spent years in prison, forgotten and overlooked. But the moment his time came, acceleration took over. In one day, he went from a prisoner to the second most powerful man in Egypt. He had no time to doubt, no time to hesitate. He had to step into his calling immediately, trusting that if God brought him to that moment, God would also sustain him in it. And that is exactly what God does for every woman. He accelerates. If she finds herself in a season where things are moving fast, where opportunities are showing up one after another, where things that once seemed impossible are happening back to back, she must recognize that this is not just her doing. This is divine alignment. This is God saying, you've been faithful, you've endured the waiting, and now it's time. So what must she do? She must adapt. She must move with the speed of God, not the speed of fear. She must embrace the change rather than resist it. She must let go of hesitation, self-doubt, and overthinking. Because if she tries to hold on to the old while stepping into the new, she will feel torn. But if she surrenders to the acceleration, if she trusts that God's timing is always perfect, then she will experience the kind of breakthrough that doesn't just change her situation, but changes her entire life. So if things are moving fast, if doors are opening suddenly, if the shift feels overwhelming, she must not panic. She must not shrink back. She must not let fear make her question whether she is ready. Because the truth is, she is ready. That's why God is moving the way He is. That's why the pace has changed. That's why things that once took years are now happening in months, weeks, or even days. Because when a woman is about to step into her God-ordained season, delay is removed, obstacles are cleared, and divine acceleration takes over. And when that happens, she must do one thing: keep up with the speed of God. When God is about to bless a woman with something big, she will notice that certain people start leaving her life. It won't always make sense. Some will walk away without warning. Some will become distant for no apparent reason. Others will start acting differently, making it clear that they are no longer meant to be part of her journey. This can be painful. She may wonder what she did wrong, why the relationships she thought were solid are suddenly fading. She may try to hold on, to fix things, to make people stay. But what she must understand is this: when God is shifting her into a new season, He will remove anyone who is not meant to go with her. Not everyone can handle where God is taking her. Not everyone can celebrate the blessings that are coming her way. Some people were only meant to be in her life for a season, not forever. And when their time is up, God will allow the separation to happen, not as a punishment, but as a because here's the truth: some connections are holding her back more than she realizes. Some relationships have been draining her energy. Some friendships have been keeping her comfortable in places where she was meant to grow. Some people have been influencing her in ways that are not aligned with what God is doing in her life. And when God is about to elevate her, He has to cut those ties, even when she doesn't want to let go. It's not always about people being bad. Some of them are good people, but they are not good for her next level. Some of them mean well, but they cannot provide the support, encouragement, or wisdom she will need in this new season. Some of them were only assigned to the version of her that she used to be, not the woman she is becoming. Think about Abraham. When God told him to go to a new land, he didn't tell him to bring everyone with him. He told him to leave his familiar surroundings, to separate from certain people, and to step into the unknown. Why? Because elevation requires separation. Because sometimes the very people she's trying to hold on to are the ones keeping her from stepping into the fullness of God's plan. And this is where many women struggle. They try to carry everyone with them. They try to explain themselves, to justify their growth, to make people understand why they are changing. But the truth is, not everyone will understand. Not everyone will support the shift. Some people will resent it, some will question it, some will even try to talk her out of it. This is why discernment is so important. She has to recognize when certain relationships are ending for a reason. She has to trust that when people start falling away, it is not rejection. It is redirection. It is God making room for the right people, the right voices, the right connections. Because the blessing that is coming will require a new level of focus, a new level of faith, a new level of wisdom, and she cannot afford to be surrounded by people who will distract her, drain her, or discourage her. She needs people who will push her forward, not pull her back. People who will pray for her, not prey on her. People who will celebrate her, not secretly compete with her. And here's the other thing, sometimes God will remove people before she sees the blessing. She may not even realize why someone left until later. She may not understand why a certain relationship ended until she steps into the next season and sees what God was protecting her from. Because some people would have mishandled her blessing. Some people would have tried to take advantage of what God was giving her. Some people would have sown doubt, negativity, and confusion just as she was stepping into her breakthrough. So instead of fighting the separation, she has to trust it. Instead of trying to hold on to what is leaving, she has to release it. Instead of chasing after people who have walked away, she has to believe that if they were meant to stay, they would have stayed. Jesus himself experienced this. When he was preparing for his greatest purpose, even some of his closest followers doubted him, betrayed him, and walked away. But did he chase them? No. Did he try to make them understand? No. Because he knew his destiny did not depend on their approval, and neither does hers. The right people will stay. The right people will recognize what God is doing in her life. The right people will not be threatened by her growth, but will encourage it. The right people will not drain her, but will pour into her. The right people will not hold her back, but will push her forward. And if God is allowing some people to leave, it is because he is making space for the right people to come. So if she finds herself in a season where people are walking away, where certain friendships are fading, where relationships that once felt close are now distant, she must not panic. She must not beg people to stay. She must not shrink herself just to make others comfortable. She must trust that God is doing a divine pruning, that he is removing what no longer serves her so that she can receive what is meant for her, that he is clearing out the distractions so that she can focus on her purpose. Because the woman she is becoming cannot be surrounded by the same things, the same people, the same patterns as before. She is being elevated, and elevation requires separation. So she must let them go. She must release them with grace. She must trust that God knows what he's doing. Because the ones who are meant to be in her next chapter, they will be there. And the ones who were only meant for the previous pages, their role has ended. And once she understands this, once she fully embraces it, she will no longer mourn what is leaving. She will celebrate what is coming. So my question to you is, do you see the signs? Are you in a storm? Are people leaving? Is your spirit unsettled? Are opportunities coming? Are attacks increasing? Do you feel bolder than ever before? Do you have a peace that makes no sense? Then listen to me. You are standing at the edge of your blessing, and all you have to do is not give up. God didn't bring you this far to leave you. He's preparing you. He's positioning you. He's strengthening you. Because when the blessing comes, you won't just survive it. You'll be ready for it. Somebody say amen.